Welcome to the video about Sportplans. What you see here is the Sportplans overview page. So when you go to plans and then you click on overview, you come in this page. By default, we will deliver a couple of Sportplans which you can already use out of the box. But what you can also do is when one of these Sportplans is, for example, not completely satisfactional to you, you can click, for example, on duplicate. So you say, okay, I want to keep the original plan, but I want to make a couple of changes. Then you can click here on duplicate. And you will see it makes a copy of the current sport plan, but now you can actually change this one without changing the original one. So that's what you can do with the duplicate one. Well, delete, I think it talks for itself. With change, you can adjust the sport plan. And with active and inactive, you can temporarily hide them from this overview. So let's say you create a couple of sport plans for Christmas, but you don't want them in your overview all the time. Then you can put it on inactive. And then here on the top, you can say, okay, show me all sport plans, active or inactive. And this way you can filter out all the inactive plans until you need them for another time. Then you can reactivate them by putting them here on activate, for example. So what you can do now is you can create a new sport plan by clicking here. And then in here you have a couple of options. So first, you give the plan a title, for example, test. Then what you can do here is you can specify if it's a default plan or a circuit plan. What's good to know is that the default plan is like an old school paper plan where you see the exercises next to each other. The user comes to the gym, they open it, and they can just do their exercises at their own speed. And when they don't know how to do an exercise, they can click on it and a video will explain to them how they can do the exercise. A circuit sport plan is automatically, or how do we say that? It's an automatic sport plan. So what you do here is you put it on circuit, you set the amount of sets, and then you can add activities in here which have a time slot. So for example, it says now this activity, the user has to do 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds, they will hear a beep, and it goes automatically to the next exercise. And currently, when this exercise is done, it will go back to the beginning because it says a set of 3. So now it's going to do 3 times the circle. But when you will put it on 1, it's only going to do these 2 exercises, and then it says sport plan finished. So this way you can create a loop. And you can, and by this you can specify how often the loop should occur with a maximum of 10 times. But I'm going to start with the default sport plans. So then, as you see, you have 2 activities next to each other. What you see over here are categories. When you open the app the first time, I'm going to show you here, you see there are categories. Because what we can do is we can group sport plans together. So every sport plan is connected to a category. And when you click on the category, you see all the sport plans that belong to this category. This way we can create a lot of sport plans and we have a little bit less categories, so it's easier to navigate through the app to find your sport plan. So I connect, for example, to the category General Body. Then I have here the option for clients. I can also decide not to connect the sport plan, for example, to a category, but only directly to a user. So if I create a sport plan which is only for my user, I think it's test in here, yes. So now the sport plan is available for the user test, but also available for the general body category. So I'm going to save it and open it again to give you more of a better demonstration. So in here, I'm here in the categories, and now if I go to general body, we will see the sport plan test we just created. But if you say, okay, this sport plan only belongs to test and nobody else can see it because of privacy awareness, we can also decide to remove it from the category. But because if I look here now for the user test and I open it, you see it also has the sport plan test. So now what I can do is here I can say, okay, this sport plan no longer belongs to a general category. It's only for the user test. And now here, if I go to general body, you will see at the bottom, the sport plan test is gone. But if the user test is looking for himself, it will still see the sport plan. So this way you can decide if a sport plan is for an individual person or actually an overall sport plan for everybody using the app and going through the categories. Then we have the part about putting exercises in a sport plan. So here you see all the exercises we deliver by default. Then there is a tab for My Exercises. So the exercises you added yourself, they end up in a separate tab. We have text boxes, which we can also add to the sport plan, and we have stopwatches. Um, Before we're going to add too many exercises, I want to show here that all the exercises are grouped by muscle group. So if you search, for example, for arm exercises, you can select your arm and you will see all the arm exercises and you can just go through them, or you can click on show all and it actually loads all the exercises that belong to this category. Within the search, of course, as you will understand, you can search. So I search now for arm, I get everything with the tag arm in it. And exactly the same you can do with my categories, text boxes, and stopwatches. And when you add them to the plan, you select them and you just click on add. Same here with my exercise. And this way you can build up your sport plan. You can change the order by clicking with your left mouse button, holding it, and then changing the position. So this way you can, in an easy and fun way, build a sport plan. So if you're curious what video is behind an exercise, you see here that the link is actually clickable. And when you click on it, it will actually launch the video, so you can quickly see which video is behind the image. Now, if I save this sport plan, and I go back here to the virtual trainer, and I open the test plan, I see here now, it's a bit big because it's on the laptop, but normally it's on a tablet. I see here now the overview of all the exercises and how it would look. And what's fun to know is these stopwatches, they're just random stopwatches you can add in a sport plan. So if you want to be a bit creative and you say, okay, these three exercises you do 20 seconds and the next exercises you do 60 seconds. You can, for example, in between leave a text box where you explain, okay, for the next upcoming exercises, use the timer 60 seconds, and here for the next coming, use 20 seconds. This is a bit how you want to do it, but it's just to show you have this flexibility to use stopwatches, text boxes, and activities in the same plan. Then, if we would switch this to a circuit scheme, you will see that all the stopwatches disappear because stopwatches are no longer needed, because in this case we can define per exercise how long it should take. So if I want to change the time, I click here. I change the time, for example, to 30 seconds. I click here again and it's saved. Do I say, okay, after this amount of exercises, I want a break. You can click here on add pause. Give it a time, for example, 60 seconds. And you see here, after the user did all these exercises, it will get a break of 60 seconds. And then, for example, you can say, okay, do the sport plan all over again. So continue the circle. So I'm going to save it. I go back here. And now when I reload the plan, you'll see it's a whole different view. Because now we actually have a start button. So before we had to click on the exercises, but now we can click on start. And it's actually going to play the exercises. So the first exercise is a text box. So not sure what happened, except for the stopwatch here running. But when the stopwatch is over, like it's 0, it automatically goes to the next one. But we can also force it by clicking here. And you see like this, it goes on and on until the last activity. I'm going to do it here now. And here now you see the sets. So the set is 1 out of 2. That's what we specified here. So when the pause is over and it goes to the next one, you see it becomes 2 out of 2. And this way you can create a loop, like a real circuit of exercises, which the user has to follow. So that's for the sport plans. Now there is another option within the sport plans, which is named automatic, because what we know is that a lot of studios, they don't have time to create sport plans. They're already busy running a studio. So what we did was we added a way that you can automatically generate sport plans. So what we do is we click here on automatic, and then this field opens up. So we can give the sport plan a name. For example, we call it, let's call it Christmas. So we're going to create Christmas sport plans. We say, okay, the Christmas sport plans are a circuit. And then here what you can do is, okay, you can say every circuit sport plan has 2 sets and every exercise should be 60 seconds. Now here you can specify in which category the sport plan should land, because now if you automatically generate it, we specify here, okay, all the Christmas sport plans belong to the category called advanced, for example. But if you want to create more categories than are here available by default, you see here in the menu on the left below overview categories. When you go there to categories, you can actually add new categories, which you can then choose from when, for example, creating a new sport plan. Now we go to the exercises. All the exercises are categorized in groups, like what I mentioned before, the muscle groups. So we say here, okay, the Christmas exercises are only for the arms and, for example, the back. It's written here now in Dutch, but you can, when you create them, you can create them in your own language. But what it says here now is arm and back. And what you can do here now is you can say groups to avoid. Because by default, we have more groups. We also have groups for dumbbells, we have groups for ropes, we have standing groups, we have male model, female model. So when you create them, you can say here, okay, pick random exercises from these categories, but make sure you avoid shoulder, for example. So in this case, we're not going to have any shoulder exercises in here. So this way you can manipulate a little bit like how the automatic creation of the sport plans would work. Now we say how many exercises per plan. Well, we have 1 minute exercises times 2. So let's say we do 5 exercises per sport plan. That means these sport plans will be 10 minutes in total, because 5 times 60 is 5 minutes, times 2, 10 minutes. And how many new sport plans do we want? Well, we want 5 of them. And what you see here now is that 5 new sport plans are generated, all from the type circuit. And if I click on one, I see in here 5 exercises, all 60 seconds. Here you have a set of 2. And yeah, this way you can easily automatically generate sport plans. Now here on the left, we see the category section I mentioned before. And what you see in here is that you can add these new categories, which would then be used for the user. So when you create a new sport plan or you create this automatic sport plan, you can actually select a category from here, but you can also add your own. So if you say, okay, I want to add one actually specifically for Christmas or skiing holidays, you add it here. It's better to give it in all the proper language names, but it's not needed. You click on add and then you can select it.